What's up guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome to MX Simulator and welcome to the Gotland Grand Nationals 2023. In my opinion, this is always the most exciting track of the year in MX Simulator. We can't really see much because of all the trees and objects in the free roam camera. However, if I go into the track editor here, you can kind of see what we're working with. There's a lot going on in terms of the track itself. So my plan is going to do one lap of this and see how long it takes. I would like to preface there's no timing gates on this just yet. How this is going to work is you're probably not going to see this video until I think the 26th. Issue being is this event happens on the 25th. But let's talk about it actually whilst we start riding. So I'm at that point again where I'm going away for a long weekend to go and visit my partner. And this event is happening on Saturday the 25th, so I won't be able to partake in it, which is a massive shame because it's something that I would have been really excited to try. How this event works is there was a prologue track released for this, maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago now at this point. The people have been able to grind and get lap times on. I had a look at the sign-up list and people were doing about 3.5 or so minute lap times on the prologue. I have no idea the length of this track itself. However, how it's worked is this was released on the 22nd, I believe, and then this is a version without timing gates. You know, people can't get an idea of their laps, they can't like grind it super hard. I'm not sure if there's going to be many changes at all for the actual main event itself, but it should be good fun. I had a look on the posts. He kind of goes into detail about over the past years, like sign-ups and such, and there was one year, I think it was 2020, where there was like 200 people that took part in it overall, which really cool. Definitely one of the biggest events in MX Simulator of each year. And again, I'm just very sad that I wasn't able to take part in it. I love Enduro, as you all know. I feel like I've covered almost every single proper Enduro track in Sim at this point. Oddly enough, I find it easier getting around these Enduro tracks than just going around a normal motocross or supercross track. I have no idea why, but I think it's very good fun. Now, I do have all of my settings maxed out in game at the moment, and I'm not sure if it will translate very well over onto YouTube, but it is a little bit on the framey side, but that's to be expected. There's a hell of a lot of objects dotted around here, from like the track markers with the SYS banners on them to, I guess, the shrubbery dotted around the track as well. I don't believe the rocks are actual rocks models. I believe it's just terrain that he's made look like a rock and then slapped a rock texture / decal over the top of it. Which definitely helps with both FPS and rideability. You know, like models in general on this game, they don't ride very well. You tend to just like bounce off of them and try and survive. So I'm glad that he's gone down the actual terrain route and then just painted over them with a rock texture. But if I just sit here and if we was to look at all these rocks, every single one of these he has had to manually add by hand, both in terms of texture, scale, and placement. But not only that, he's also had to like raise the ground himself, and it's just very impressive. I'm a big fan of Matthias Lidman's work here, and hopefully he keeps doing this for years to come, because every single year they are some of my favourite tracks in the game. Just abusing the MX Simulator seat bouncing physics there. Just get up and over one of those logs. It's been a while. Been a while since I hopped on Sim. Last time was when I done the Stark Far video, so my riding will be a little bit on the rusty side. One thing that is very cool about this event is actually being live streamed this year. Here on X Games Mold. It's actually being live streamed this year, which I think is the first time Mr. Kellen Brower on the SYS channel is going to be streaming it. So I actually think, I don't know if I'll watch it while I'm away, but definitely one of them things to add to the watch list for when I get back. And it should be very good stuff, very fun. We always like listening to Kellen's commentary. Please stay alive here. And again, another reason why I'm a bit annoyed that I'm not able to do it. It would be nice to hear my name leave that beautiful man's mouth every now and then. I really do enjoy watching the SYS streams back. Even as someone who's not fully invested in the Sim community anymore, like, I don't keep up to date with everything that's going on. I like watching back the live streams just because of the quality of them. So I don't think Kellen needs me to tell him that he does a good job. I think he knows that already, which is why so many people watch them. But they're very good fun. I'd definitely recommend, if you aren't even interested in Sim at all, but you like your motocross or your sports, definitely check out any of the SYS streams. And you know, Anaheim 1 is just around the corner. Gonna have a whole new season underway. It should be very exciting. For all of you passionate gamers, you can now get 20% off all G Fuel products worldwide by using code LINS at checkout. And for any of you motorheads looking for some new drip or apparel, use code MXPR_LINS15 fxrracing.eu to get 15% off. All links and codes are in the description down below. Enjoy the video and drop a cheeky little like and subscribe. You know, oddly enough, my most viewed video on my entire channel is me doing one of the Enduro tracks on MX Simulator. I don't know why. It's got like 400,000 views, but there's definitely not 400,000 MX Sim people. So must have been one of the videos I just got lucky and they got into the algorithm. And the thumbnail wasn't even like a high quality thumbnail that I spent time on editing in Photoshop. It was literally just a screenshot from the game, which it's so odd to me the way YouTube works. I feel like the more effort I put into things, a lot of the time the worse they do, and then vice versa. I feel like the really quick stuff does really well, which is incredibly frustrating because you want to put a lot of time and effort into your videos. That was sick. Like the seat bounce on these bikes is actually unreal. But yeah, sometimes you get rewarded for just putting in very minimal effort. It's a very strange concept. So if this video has a bit of a weird title or the thumbnail looks a bit different to usual, know why, because I want to see if I can kind of replicate that sort of that formula. I guess I know it never usually works how you plan in your head, and like the videos that you want to do well will actually do well. But it's very interesting. I'm going to put the idea to work, see if anything is true about it. I will say that back then, I think that my riding was actually a lot better than it is now. I definitely think I was playing the game more regularly back then, and I feel like every single time I play Sim, I say the same thing of, oh, I'm going to play Sim more often, and it just never happens. I think Sim is definitely one of them games now for me at this point that I can't grind Sim anymore. I have no interest in doing so. But I really enjoy just hopping on the game, whether it's 10, 20 minutes for a video, or in situations like this, I imagine this track could be like a 20, maybe 30 minute. At the speed I'm going, it's definitely going to be a long one, because this is like really slow. I mean, you can see up on the track map at the top right, you probably can't see much because it's a little bit on the cluttered side. It's definitely a bit busy. I can barely even see where my arrow is in relation to like the actual lines, because it's red for the most part. But it winds a lot. It's going to be a very long one, and I believe these tracks are done on the maximum, like, man holding a drink out for me, lovely stuff, love that. I think they're done on the maximum like scale that it can be done. I don't think you can get bigger tracks than this, so I think it does a good job of kind of like cramming everything in together and making it so it's actually a really long lap time. And I don't think I'm misspeaking here when I say that I think these tracks are probably the biggest, best like enduro events in motocross gaming each year. I think they really are. Of course, on bikes we have the Krakenberg, but that's a one and done. You know, this isn't a yearly thing. Like the AAA games like Monster Energy Supercross or MXGP, they don't have anything like this. So this is truly like the biggest enduro motocross game experience that you can have year on year. So again, I'm very glad that we get one of these each and every year, and I'm hoping that Mr. Lidman stays around for quite some time to be able to bless us with these tracks. They're certainly my favourite part of the game. If you're newer to the channel, when you have no idea, when I first got MX Simulator, I played a lot of enduro stuff, and back then it was like really one-to-one scout stuff, so it was even more tight and technical and choppy and slippery than what I'm playing right now. And I think it done a very good job, at least back then, I've lost it all since, a very good job of giving me an understanding of how the game plays at low speeds. At high speeds, I think motocross games become a lot easier. Like the bike's a lot more stable, there's a lot less wonkiness or randomness. I feel like a lot of the time the faster you go, the easier you find things. But slow physics on these games, they are a bit more difficult. Like on this game, if I'm turning left and I'm going really slow, if I want to straighten the bike up or then turn right again afterwards, you really do have to start moving the bike early, like really early. You almost have to like muscle the bike back upright. And it gets to a point, if you're in like a slalom, you'll find yourself at one point like turning right to go left and vice versa. It's very weird to explain. If you've never played the game, you'll have no idea. If you have played Sim, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But playing Enduro from like really early hours on did give me a great understanding of the game's physics. One thing that's quite helpful as well is even just little sections like this, you just work on your seat bouncing, if you can go double or triple. One thing that's happening recently, which I don't know how to fix, if you can see, is the ground loads in when I'm on top of it. Like it looks like just a boring Play-Doh texture from a distance. Then as I get close, it loads in, and I've downloaded the highest quality version of this possible. My game settings are maxed out. I don't think it's anything to do with reshade. I just make the reshade make things look a little bit brighter. So I've got absolutely zero clue if that is something that I can change myself. If you have any ideas on that, do let me know, because it takes away from the immersion a little bit sometimes when you see the ground kind of loading in at a certain distance. To be fair, MX Bikes does exactly the same thing with terrain. I have it sometimes where I'll go into a corner and then the rut will suddenly just like spawn in front of me. It'll just suddenly like pop in. So very, very odd. I love the ruts that he's got built into here. They hold you really well, and there is actually options. I think this would be such a good track to race on. Again, I'm very upset that I couldn't do it myself, but I have a feeling that it will be a hell of a lot of fun. If you really kind of want to get out in front early, then you haven't got to worry about trying to tiptoe around people that have crashed. There are corners with multiple rut options, so there is ways of passing. Other than that, I think it might be a little bit of follow the leader until someone goes down. But one day I'll be able to do one of these races. Maybe next year. Who knows? It's always going to be a tough one. I tend to go away from home a couple of times around the Christmas period. Usually it's endish of November, and then like mid-November for my girlfriend's birthday, and obviously Christmas time as well. We don't really want to be playing a bunch of video games around Christmas time, so it's always a bit of a toughie. It really is. But to be fair, next year there is a high possibility they end up moving into my own place. But probably towards the back end of the year. In all honesty, it'll take a little bit of planning, take a little while to do. But if that is the case, then I won't be having to travel really for anything. I'll be there the entire time. So in terms of like consistency and videos and like pre-recorded stuff, you should get a lot more just like genuine day-to-day content and like consistency, and I can get a schedule for streaming, etc. Because the reason that I've never ever set up a schedule for live streaming is because it wouldn't be a consistent one anyway, because I do not have planned out the days that I go away. A lot of the time I get maybe like 2 weeks notice. So let's say if I set a schedule that I'm going to stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, for example, that would only happen 3 out of the 4 weeks of each month, because I go away at least 1 week each month, and it's like a variable one. It's not like it's the first week of each month or the last week of each month. There's a lot of moving parts to it. So that's why I've never set a schedule like that as such. But you know, when I'm in my own place and I haven't got to travel 4 hours to go and visit the girlfriend, or vice versa, she hasn't got to travel 4 hours down to see me, then yeah, I can definitely work at getting some sort of a schedule. And I think that's the sort of thing that helps channels grow as well, is having a routine, having consistency, having a schedule involved. So I'm hoping that good stuff will be awaiting me in like the next year, next 2 years. We'll see how it goes. It should be very, very good, very exciting. I shouldn't have doubled that. I should have waited and then doubled over the river itself, up and over this big old rock. I get nervous when I get into rock gardens like this, because I kind of want to go fast, but I'm scared that if I get a little bit too overzealous on the old throttle button, I'm just going to absolutely wad myself. So we'll be nice and gentle through here. Use the rock to jump up and over the log. Try not to do a backflip. And then, whoop, a little jump over. Oh, get on the brakes. This is getting a little bit rough down here. Back it up, Terry. I didn't even know there was a second line down. I guess I could have missed all the rough stuff somehow. I do like that. I'm not sure if there's some sections that have like a split lane to them. I'm not sure if one section is particularly rougher, which makes it faster, and then the other one is smooth but longer, or if they kind of work out of a similar pace. But I like that the option is there. Again, opens the door to actually pass people. It's not just a track that's here for the sake of me riding and testing. It actually serves a purpose. It's to hold an event on. And let's jump up and over this. Let's go around to the left. The good thing is, because it's a Enduro and there's no like massive ruts or bumps anywhere, I'm not going to get judged for being bad at whipping anymore. So let's go round to the right. What I am going to be judged on, though, is my ability to follow a rut. Like, some of these ruts hold you really, really nicely. Others kind of chop and change, like back and forth over each other, like you would expect in like a very rough Enduro event. We're trying to triple in our way through this section. It's like, it's not whoops, but it's not a rhythm section. It's kind of somewhere in between. Let's go, whoop, jump up there, down into this little ditch. I'm so happy that he's made this dirt with a rock texture rather than actually being a rock, because otherwise I would be crashing, I think, a lot more than I already am. Oh, no, not too sure what's happened there. I think I need to try and go a bit faster, because again, like I said earlier, I think the slower you go, the more difficult it is, and you just end up tiptoeing about a lot. So if we can try and like up the general speed, that would be pretty epic. It looks like we're actually getting into a bit more of a open area now. It looks like we've gone through all of the single track. God damn it, I hate logs. I hate them so much. Yeah, it looks like the track's opening up a bit now. So let's get up and over this log. Lovely stuff. And then your yeet over the little water crossing. Oh my god. Okay, it's not opening up at all. What is this? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, this rock section looks absolutely brutal. Looking at the map at the top right, it looks like the red parts are just general trail. It looks like the green parts are actual, like, I guess, sections slash obstacles. Like that whole section I just went through there was marked in green, and that was a full-on rock garden. And then again, it goes back to red for this normal trail. So there is some there's some method to the madness. It might even just be like a difficulty rating, because you can see the track markers on the left and right. Like these track markers have green all over them, and nicely enough, they do point you in the direction that you need to go. I feel like that one was a little bit unfair. I feel like there needed to be a... Oh, God. Well, this is a third-person issue right here. I cannot see to the top of this. We're going to go yeet. It was a very, very short hill, thankfully. I feel like there needed to be a warning or a slow down sign ahead of that little drop. That was very, very unfair. How was I meant to know that? Little double up and over that bad boy, and then we're going to try and double... wait, no, we're going to slow down here. Slow it down, inside... Oh, I didn't take either rut there, really. I wanted to go inside leading to outside, but it wasn't meant to be. We'll just treat this as a whoop section. My whoops on this game, absolutely abysmal. No idea why. I used to actually quite enjoy whoops back in the day. I have vivid memories of making some passes in the whoops. There was one round, I can't remember what year it was, like 2018, something like that. It was Supercross round, which I was in the 250 class. I'm pretty sure it was the European series. And there was a really long whoop section before a left-hander before a finish line. And I had quite a lot of speed through these whoops. And I remember one year absolutely demolishing Kellen at the end of the whoop section that I couldn't break at the end of it. I just full on like T-boned, destroyed his ACL in the corner afterwards, and put him on the ground. And somehow I managed to survive. So it's weird. I have little memories of certain races and certain takeouts, and I think that was a year where, for whatever reason, in the 250 class, they allowed people to either use the 254 stroke or 252 stroke. And I remember the 252 stroke guys, there was a handful of them. They weren't the most popular option by any means. But I remember the 252 stroke guys used to always get out of the gate really well. For some reason, that bike was a rocket ship out of the gate, but then I think it kind of struggled everywhere else. So I remember they would always be up front at the start, and then as the race would progress, the 254 stroke guys would kind of catch up and come past. And it was good times. One of the best years of racing on that game for me, I think, was 2018. That's when in NA, I think I was battling against Tyler Schmidt, and he was riding the 252 stroke. I did end up getting beaten. I'm pretty sure that's the year that I got disqualified or points removed for a round because of a bad track re-entry. Thank you, Chase, very much for taking that championship away from me. Still salty, like 5 years on. But my only ever claim to fame is that I think I'm the only person still that's won a quote-unquote official championship in both MX Simulator and MX Bikes. So I had the 2017 and 2018 European 250 Supercross Championship, and then I had the 2022 MX Bikes European 450 Championship. Can't see myself getting any more of anytime soon. That rut was disgustingly deep. But that's my one claim to fame. So if anyone on Sim wants to come over to this game and just win a chip real quick and match me, that'll be great. Or alternatively, if anyone on bikes wants to go over to Sim and try and win a chip, I think that would be the harder of the two. I definitely think that Sim experience translates well over to bikes, but bikes experience doesn't necessarily translate well over to Sim. They're just two completely different games. Like, they play so much different to one another. And I truly think that... So, obviously, I took a year or two off of Sim, started playing MX Bikes, for example, and then when I came back to this game, the muscle memory was just gone. You know, I didn't know how to play anymore, couldn't go fast anymore like I used to. And I truly think that if I just left the game and didn't play another motocross game, I think I could have come back and after like a few weeks of practice got back to speed, because the muscle memory would have come back. But what happened is I didn't only lose it, I replaced it with a different muscle memory, being the MX Bikes muscle memory. And I think that's really what screwed me over. I don't think there's ever going to be a point in time where I can play both games to a high level. One will be me waddling about like this, and the other one will be a high level. Alternatively, I would just be okay at both. I don't think there's any point where you can be at the top level of both games at the same time. This is to say that this doesn't mean like, oh, let's say you have sim races on Monday and bike races on like Thursday, where you could grind one game for 3 days, play it, grind the other game for 3 days, play that, and keep doing that. Then a bit of a different story. Like you can get the muscle memory back each time. But when it comes, if you've got like back-to-back races on back-to-back days on the different games, I do think you're going to struggle quite a lot to try and just get the thumbs to do what your brain tells it to do. Like, muscle memory is such a weird thing, how it just ingrains into your brain. It's very, very odd. I suppose it's its own like whole kind of topic, because one thing, when you spend a lot of hours on games, you instinctively know what to do at different points. So if I take MX Bikes, for example, and it doesn't matter what jump it is on the track, like if it's a brand new track with all different kinds of jumps, you kind of get an idea of how you're meant to attack them or how you're meant to like whip in certain ways. Same with corners, you know, every corner's different. Some ruts will have hooks in, some will be perfectly smooth, some will have bumps halfway through. So usually some of the faster guys, we always get asked, how do you do this or how do you do that? And a lot of time it's really, really difficult to explain, because you kind of just do it. Like your brain knows what it needs to do. So honestly, I feel like the best way at getting better at games is just to put in hours. I see so many people commenting saying, oh, I've got 50 hours in MX Bikes, but I'm not as good as I want to be. How do I get better? It's like, well, play 20 times more than you have done. Get to 1,000 hours, and then we can kind of look at it and reevaluate it if you're still not making any progress, because people at the top have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. The most I know of is 5,000. We have people like Reaper, for example. Reaper's been grinding a lot, and he's on 4,000 now, which it got him to the LAN event. So, you know, that hard work paid off, so massive W for him. I am coming up very, very closely to the 3,000 mark now. I'm at 2,900-ish. Which I'm not actually too disappointed by, especially since it's my job. I think if you replace it with like a normal 9 to 5, it's a lot less hours than that. So bit of a W there. I'm gonna have to buy a second account at some point just to hide the embarrassment of getting over 3k hours. It's a hell of a lot. It has worked out to be about 1,000 hours a year. So if we break that down, it's like 2.5. No, is it 3? Probably about just under 3 hours a day, I think, roughly. But to be fair, that's made up of days of either not playing the game at all, or then if we take actual race nights, for example, where I'm doing EU and NA, those days the game could be open for 8 hours straight, you know, from the start of qualifying of EU to the end of the racing of NA. So it's not an equal 2.5-ish to 3 hours a day. It's definitely spread out a bunch. But it gives you a kind of idea of the amount of time and effort that you need to get to a certain level in these games, and some people aren't interested in that. Some people just want to hop on for a bit of fun every now and then, and I absolutely respect that. But if you are someone that wants to go on the competitive side of things, you do have to put in a lot of work and a lot of time, because you have to remember that everybody else that you're going to be competing against is also putting in a lot of work and a lot of time. I'm looking at the map right now. I'm pretty sure I've got 2 corners left. Wait, no, we've got more. I'm talking out my bum. I feel like it loops onto the start straight here, but then I think you might go in a different direction, maybe, question mark, not 100% sure. And again, like these parts of the track, you can really see how just in front of me, the track texture only loads in really, really late. Very, very annoying. And honestly, if you was to say, you know what, pick one thing in MX Simulator that you'd like updated, I would go straight to graphics. I wish this game looked better. All of my comments, every time I play Sim, is what does this game look like? It's a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 game. It's just old, you know, the game is older than some of you watching, which is really a wild statement to say, but it genuinely is. Like, I think the game is 16 in December, which is just wild. The fact that the game has been about this long is even more wild, that there's really been very, very, very few games that have come out in that time that can really challenge it. I think Bikes is doing well right now because the casual community is really thriving. In terms of like the competitive side of things, I think Sim is still at the tippy top in terms of its dedicated fan base. But the AAA titles can't even scratch the surface of this game. Would games like Reflex and Alive have been out at the same time as this? Probably. Like my brain doesn't remember the exact year and date that all those games came out. Not entirely sure there, but yeah, it's definitely been at the top for quite some time, and I'm very interested at what point does it finish? Because I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere, I don't know if it was from JV's like mouth, JV, god damn it, didn't know if it was from JLV's mouth directly, or if it was just from someone in the community that might have been spitballing. I swear I saw someone at some point say that when the game is finished, JLV will release the source files for the game. Which is either going to be a good or a bad thing. It could be very good in terms of the modding side of things and maybe getting it moved over to a different engine, making it look better. It could then be very bad because this game already has a bit of a cheating problem. Like, you can mod files if you want to, online as well. Like, I don't know what he's done to prevent that as of late, but I remember kind of just before I stopped playing the games when cheats were kind of coming into their fruition. People can give their bikes more power, they can edit the tracks during the race to like remove braking bumps and such, so you're riding on a smoother surface. There are people at the very like top of the competitive scene that have been caught cheating in the past, and how they're still allowed to race I have no idea, but I guess RF just need the numbers at this point because the game's player base is dwindling in recent years. I'm not here, that's not me throwing shots, by the way, that is just a simple outsider observation. To be fair, there are some people that have been banned for life for other weird offences, but then some rules apply to some but not to others. But I'm not going to try and pretend to know the inner workings and behind the scenes of all that stuff. I'm just here to play the game. We're not going to go on those like full-length RF rants that some YouTube creators seem to go on. What on earth is this here? Get brake clean off the back. This is getting a little bit techie. Not gonna lie, but I feel like I've been making very good progress. I've been moving forwards the entire time. I've only had a couple of situations where I've had to like back up or actually crashed in general. Probably count, well, maybe not on one hand, but I can definitely count on two hands probably the amount of times I've crashed in this video so far. And I don't even think this is going to be that edited down. It's going to be quite a long form video. Just kind of do it raw, do it all in one go. Sometimes I feel like it's good to have some content like that where it's not all just cut up all the time. We can kind of sit down, almost a little bit podcasty, you know, but you've just got some gameplay in the background. You get to sit and listen to me, and oh yeah, the hat has made an appearance again. Just fully embracing the dad vibes. I'll just try and grow the stash out as much as possible, keep the hat, and then I just need to buy a truck then. I guess that's the only last thing to do. We've not got like trucks the size that you like have in the US. We haven't got those in the UK. They just don't fit on the roads. But we have stuff like a Ford Ranger and stuff, or like a Ford Raptor, and I'd quite like something like that. We don't have like your massive. We don't have like Chevys and massive trucks. So please don't get offended if you're like not a Ford fan, but kind of like just what we have here. We've not got much option when it comes to those things. Even some like the larger SUV type vehicles here in the UK. If I go out anywhere, granted it's very rare that I do go out, but if I go out anywhere and I have to park, like trying to park anywhere in the UK is just such a pain. It's like the parking spaces were made years and years ago, and then since then cars have just got bigger and bigger. So even me in my tiny car, I struggle to get in some spaces because I've got two massive SUVs either side of me, and it's such a pain. And I feel like I'm quite a courteous person. I don't want to like try hitting anybody's car with my car door, so I'm always trying to like breathe in and like squeeze my way between, and it can be a pain. It really can. I'm more worried for like my own property because I don't think anybody else respects things as much as I try to. I don't think people try and be nice, or sometimes people will go out of their way to be like arseholes and be dicks. But you know, it is what it is. That's why I usually try and park as far away as possible from people. Oh god, I can't get up this bloody hill. I feel like this hill was meant to be one of them that you really do in one shot. Me kind of going slow and tiptoeing around here is not doing any wonders, but hey, at least we can jump up and over that log at the very end there. That hill feels familiar. I feel like Oh, that might have been one of them hills that was in the last iteration of this that I played. Or if not, there's definitely like a winter-themed Enduro that I played at some point that had that sort of hill in it. Actually, can we... Yeah, yeet! Oh, it was a bit of a last-minute decision there, but we got down, we survived. Suspension took it like an absolute champ. I generally couldn't tell you what I'm running. I just hop on the game and play it these days. I do not mess with advanced, I don't mess with suspension. I do not touch anything at all. I just hop on, ride my laps, and that's it. So some people might be looking at it and being like, oh, this is actually really painful to watch. What on earth are you doing? But I'm just having fun. I'm trying to load up the game, have a little bit of fun, ride around. And honestly, if I wasn't at the point right now where I had to pre-record a bunch of content before going away, you might not actually be seeing this video. But one thing that's very difficult to do at any given time is trying to... So I need to make like 5 or 6 videos today. One thing that's very difficult to do is trying to make content for that many days in advance, because the content might not be there yet. You forget, we are a small community. We're a very, very small game. But sometimes we get blessed with all the tracks that come out. Sometimes I can't cover tracks quick enough, and like there's 3 or 4 tracks released in the space of 2 days, and I have to space things out loads. Other days it can get a little bit dry. And I think there's been like 2 tracks on bikes released recently that I haven't done a video on that I can cover. I did intentionally backflip that. I didn't mean for it to turn into a double backflip and crash. Yeah, sometimes it is a little bit difficult to get ahead of the game, but I will try my very, very best. But I'm not afraid to try branching out into other games like this. I have an idea of 1 or 2 other videos that we can do just in the meantime. And I'm not against taking breaks. I feel like everyone should take breaks in day-to-day life and just spend a day or 2 doing nothing. The issue you have is time and time again, it has been proven that you know, if your favourite YouTuber, for example, takes a break for a week plus, that when they come back, there's a very, very high chance that people just lose interest and stop watching them at that point. And I don't want to fall into irrelevancy just yet. I feel like we'll get there at some point, but kind of ride the wave whilst we can and enjoy it whilst we can. I've been going for 33 minutes so far in terms of like recording time if I look over at my Streamlabs, and I don't know where we are in relation to the finish. Like, we're at the top of the map now, but the finish is in the middle, so this is longer than I thought it would be. I was expecting maybe, you know, like a 20-minute track that you do say 3 or 4 laps on for the course of the event. He's done a very good job of... Oh, no. You know what? There's no timing gates. It doesn't matter. We're just going to respawn and go this way. He's done a very, very good job of utilising all of the space that we have. And you saw from, like, the like going into the editor at the start, there is no bit of space, really, that is unused on this place. It's pretty intense. Now, I have no idea how long, on average, it takes Matthias to make these tracks. I can only imagine it's a disgusting amount of time, because... I'm pretty sure it's all done in the track editor rather than Photoshop. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just spitballing here. I think that is the case. Either way, regardless, whatever method he uses, it's very impressive, and it's a lot of time, a lot of effort. I want to say that the actual beautifying of it and getting the rocks to be where rocks are, like every single one of these grey bits is hand placed in the texturing process. I imagine that takes just as, if not longer, than the actual terrain part of it. Like, terrain's one thing, but getting it to look good as well on this scale, it's got to be difficult to do. It really, really has. Oh, we got another... Is that a little split? Yeah, it wasn't a split section as such. It was just like a little island in the middle there that we went round. And then again, another uphill rock garden. So this man is sadistic. On the bright side... Oh, please. Yes. On the bright side, the rocks are quite small, so the bike handles it quite well. And again, very, very lucky that they are imitating rocks. Oh my god. And they're not actually proper rocks. Hit the triple into a double, another little double, and double again and again. We're gonna have to jump in here. Triple. So it's a good and a bad thing on Sim. I'm kind of mixed opinions of it, but one of the weirdest things I find in this game, in terms of like a realism sense, is I feel like when you leave the ground, when you're actually jumping and you're in the air, it feels like you're floating for a very, very long time. One of my good friends, Mr. Tanner Rogers, who is a almost probably like lifelong sim player at this point, he's definitely been about the scene for a while. He compares it to like being in a vacuum. It's like almost like there's no wind anywhere. So when you do leave the ground, it's kind of like just like suspended in air, like nothing's moving about. There's no resistance or anything. At the moment, that's kind of the only real gripes or issues I have with sim these days. I mean, other than how powerful the bikes are, I do think they're a little bit overly powerful sometimes, but that could stem back to the traction values that get used. Like everyone has mega traction on the tracks these days rather than any sort of wheel spin involved. But that's kind of like my main gripe on the game these days, is that feeling of almost being like weightless or being in space when you hit a big jump. Because they're, oh god, on some of the bigger jumps on this game, you can kind of go to throw a whip and then you'll have finished a whip and the whips come back. But then because you're still in the air, you can then just muscle the bike around again, do 2 whips or sometimes 3 whips, and it's definitely, it's interesting. Like you can kind of just keep moving the bike back and forth, side to side, which I don't think is that realistic. But then I couldn't imagine, like, could you imagine playing a motocross game that is fully like one-to-one like real life in terms of difficulty and how the bike feels? I couldn't imagine it, and I don't think it's possible because like you've got a lot of inputs when you're riding a bike IRL. You've got like obviously your hands for your throttle control or braking. You've got your feet are planted in different positions on the pegs to get your bike to do what you want to do. You can kind of like weight the outside of your pegs in corners to get a bit more grip. You've got your entire like torso. You can move your body weight around all over the place to get the bike to manipulate in very, like, it can be from tiny changes to huge changes. We've just got some thumbsticks on a controller, so trying to get that realism, that feeling through a set of joysticks, I can't see it ever being the case. Unless somehow we get to the point where we have full-on like motocross simulation rigs, like we have the car driving rigs, or I know we have like them road bike rigs sometimes in Milan for the bike show that we went to for the MX Bikes event. They had, I think it was when the MotoGP game set up, and they had like a full scale road bike that you could hop on and ride, and it would translate into the game. And I don't know if we'd ever get to that point, because like road bikes aren't meant to leave the ground, so you've just got that one axis of turning side to side. For motocross bikes, if you want to like throw scrubs and stuff like that and like dip the front end in, it might be a little bit different. And you might get to a point where we just have like this bike levitating from harnesses, and like the wheels are like spinning underneath you when you're accelerating, and you can kind of try and throw it about in the air. I fit a long way in the future, but who knows, one day. I mean, gaming has progressed so much in the last like just 20 years alone. I couldn't imagine where it will end up in another 20, or by the time I'm an old fart, like, oh actually, I was about to say when I'm 60, and that's literally like 33, just over 32 years away. Oh my god, boys, I'm having a midlife crisis soon. I'm getting old. Oh, that's depressing. I don't think about it sometimes, because I don't feel 27. I feel like I'm just still a teenager sitting playing video games, which I don't hate. No, people have their own thoughts on that about me playing games. The amount of comments I get saying, "Why don't you go and ride a real bike?" And it's like, well, I'm just trying to have fun playing some video games here, mate. I do ride on occasion IRL. Like, why are you sitting here like watching someone play a motocross game rather than either playing it yourself or going and riding yourself? I don't get it. Some very unique individuals on the internet, and a lot of time I just kind of let it go, but every now and then I have to reply. And I had one the other day where it's like, yeah, I bet you're C-class ride. And it's like, well, I've never claimed to be good in real life ever. Like I think from day one, before I even released my first GoPro, I was just like, I'm not very good on a bike, because I feel like when people are big-headed, then it turns out they're not very good. They're just getting all kinds of shit for it. And it's like, I know I'm not good. I've never tried to be good. I'm just trying to sit here and have fun playing my video games, man. Why you gotta be so mean? But then you have to realise that people are people at the end of the day, and you just have to let them do their thing. So they can do them. If they want to get upset by me enjoying my life and playing some games, and they're more than welcome to do so. I will carry on just spoding my way around the MX Simulator course, and to be fair, we'll probably still be playing this game when this game hits 20 years old, 25 years old, unless JLV eventually does upgrade it or make an MX Simulator 2 or anything like that. I've got no idea what his roadmap is for this game. I don't know what his plans are for the future, but it would be nice. It'd be nice to see some upgrades for this. I mean, there's people that have had this game for almost all 15 of them years. August Sanders springs to mind. I see him lurking in the MX Bikes, like Factory Bikes private Discord every now and then, talking to those guys. And he's like, in Sim, instead of like a GUID, like you have in Bikes, you just have a UID. In Sim, he's number 2. So he's the second ever person to play this game aside from JLV, the creator of it. So he's had the game for a very, very long time. So even for people like that, to see the game come full circle and have like a final build, or to have it upgraded, or an MX Simulator 2, I feel like it'd be a really, really cool experience. Like, people have been around this game for a disgusting amount of time, and as I said, this game is older than a lot of you people that are watching this, which is just wild to say. I'm tempted to try and go back in time at some point and see if I can play like one of the very, very first builds of it on stock bikes, on stock tracks, and just see what the game was compared to what it is now. But that is a lap. This is the start straight. This is where we started the video on. It's taken me 42.5 minutes to complete a lap of that, although the video might be a tiny bit short. It depends how much of the crashing I cut out, because I imagine that's quite boring to sit and watch. But that'll do it from me. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed making it. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to. Please do drop a like and subscribe to this channel if you're new and you like what you saw. And then I will catch you all next time. Peace.